In this video, I'm going to talk about the order of operations, sometimes called PEMDAS, okay? Now, PEMDAS is going to start with P, and that's going to stand for parentheses. But also, you can have brackets, and brackets and parentheses act equivalently, okay? So we just use brackets usually to signify that we have a group within a group, and so we'll use parentheses in the inner group. Every once in a while, you'll see books that use braces. We don't really use braces that often in this way. We will use braces as I use them in the number systems talk, where we're using it as a list of numbers. And then also, the absolute value is also going to act as a parenthesis, and the absolute value is a very special one because it turns negative numbers into positive numbers because it tells us the distance between zero. So positive numbers stay positive and negative numbers become positive. So this is the only parenthesis that technically does something like that. The next one, second step, is exponents, okay? Exponents are something like 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 3 times, and that equals 8. So exponents takes the base and multiplies it by itself by whatever this exponent is, okay? And our exponents for a good while are going to be just whole numbers, okay? So for that, that's what exponents are. We're gonna deal with simple examples like that within the homework. The next step, and this is going to cause some of you some confusion, and that's multiplication and division. Multiplication and division are technically, if you think about it, they're the same thing because we can talk about you're multiplying the inverse of a number, and so really they're the same thing. And so they're the third step, and we're just going to go left to right of how these things are written. The best thing I can tell you is if a question is properly written, then there will be no concern of what you should do as far as multiplication and division. But I'm going to show you an example of where that can come up. And also addition and subtraction are pretty much the same thing because you can just say that you're adding a negative number, right? So that would be subtraction, or you're adding a positive number is what we classically think of as addition. So for this, this is going to be the fourth step. And so I know that is going to kind of be counterintuitive or maybe not be the same thing that you learned in elementary school, but that is the modern interpretation of order of operations. So let's look at some examples because a lot of your homework is going to be over these order of operations. So this example 1 here, I plucked it out of the textbook, and let's just give it a try. So this is the group 3 times 2, and that is squared, minus 4 times the group 6 plus 2. So the first thing to do is simplify the parentheses. 3 times 2 is 6, so that's going to be squared. And then 4 times 6 plus 2, which is 8. Okay, so 6 squared is really 6 times 6. That's 36. Minus, and then 4 times 8 is 32. 36 minus 32, well, that's a difference of 4. So I believe the final answer here is 4. Okay, not too bad. Let's keep going. All right, next example. I have 5 squared minus 4, and that's all over 7, minus the square root of 11 minus 2. Okay, in some ways, this square root is actually acting as a parenthesis, but since these are separated by subtraction, we don't have to worry about it too much. We can actually work on them independently, and we'll still be fine. So 5 squared, well, that's 25 minus 4 over 7. And what is 11 minus 2? But it's 9. Okay. So 25 minus 4, that's 21 divided by 7. What is the square root of 9? Which is like saying what number times itself equals 9, and that's 3. Okay, and then we have 21 divided by 7, so that is 3. And then we have the 3 over here, so 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay, so that's my final answer. I think the final answer would have to be 0. Let's go to another example. 6 minus the absolute value of 5 minus 8 plus 3 times 4 minus 1. In this, the absolute value is acting as a parenthesis, and this is a traditional parenthesis. So we need to simplify those and in the same step. So I have 6 minus absolute value. 5 minus 8 would be negative 3 plus 3, and then 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay. Now, the absolute value is really special because it takes negative numbers and makes them positive because it tells us the distance between that number and 0. So this would become positive 3, but there's a negative sign out there, so it's kind of tricky. And I can also just go, what was this? 3 times 3 is 9. So 6 minus 3, that turns into 3 plus 9, and so I have a final answer of 12. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that's easy. Let's look at this example. This one's a bit longer. It's very similar to something you'll see in your homework. And let's check it out. So I have 7 times the group 5 times 3 minus 2 times this bigger group here, and actually has a group within it, 6 minus 3 minus 4 squared, and then we add 1 at the very end, okay? So if you understand the rules, you can actually start to break them. If things are separated by subtraction or addition, you can actually work on them independently. And that might be a little different than what you've learned before, but I hope you believe me, it's kind of true. It might be something to play with in your homework. But if things are separated by addition or subtraction, you can work on them independently. Later we'll start learning that these are called factors, and you can work on factors independently. Anyway, so this would be 7 times 15 minus 2, and then 6 minus 3 is 3, minus 4 squared would be 16, and then we still have that lonely 1 there, okay? Now, what do we have? So we have 7 times 15. Well, what's that? That's 70 plus 35, so that would be 105 minus 2. 3 minus 16, that's going to be negative 13 plus 1, okay? All right, what else do we have? So 105 minus, well, okay, I should be careful because I have minus times a minus. This is going to be plus, right? That negation. 2 times 10 is 20, and 2 times 3 is 6, so we have 26, and we still have that lonely 1 there. And so I have 105 plus 26 plus 1, or I can say 27 plus 105. Either way, you should get 132 as your answer. Okay? So I know I'm going kind of fast, but hopefully that makes some sense of what I'm doing. All right, and for this last example, I took this directly out of your homework just to kind of show you how we can do some of this distributing. So first I need to distribute this 1/3 on the 9, so 9 divided by 3 is 3, and so this x will come along. Negative 12 divided by 3 would be negative 4. 88 divided by 11 would be minus 8, and then we have the y here. And then negative makes positive, and 7 over 11, that's irreducible. So I'll write 7/11ths y. Okay, I'm almost done. What can I do? So I have an x here. It doesn't look like I have any other x's. It doesn't look like I have any other single numbers, but I do need to put these together here. Or maybe I made a mistake. Oh, that's what it is. I apologize. This is an x, this is a y. I was about to put those together, but that would have been wrong. So I need to put these together, 7/11ths and 3, and I can leave the negative 4 and 8 alone. So I'm going to put these together just so it helps me put these together, and then I have negative 8 and negative 4, and that should be a y. Okay, now let's put these together. So I have 3 plus 7/11ths. Well, it's going to help me if I have the same denominator, and I can do that by 33 over 11x plus 7/11ths x minus 8y minus 4. Almost ready for that final answer. So 33 plus 7 is going to be 40 over 11x minus 8y minus 4. Okay, so again, I hope this helps. This would be the final answer. And I hope that is helpful in completing some of your homework problems. Please let me know if you're having any trouble.